The focal passuk of the Sikha comes from section 3, the part in which Moshe and Aaron plead for the survival of the Eidah, on account of the fact they seemed to have demonstrated their support for Korach, Datam and Aviram. Passuk 22 informs us that Vayiplu al Panehem Vayomru, Moshe and Aaron fall upon their faces in prayer and argue before God that Ha'ish Echad Yecheta V'al Kol Ha'eda Tiktsof, and depending on the translations that one chooses, basically their argument is that it is unjust, unfair, that God becomes angry at a large group of people simply because of the actions of one individual. Of interest is the introductory statement to their request, prayer, demand, as they addressed God, Kel Elokei Haruchot L'chol Basar. It is Rashi's commentary to these 5 words that is the focus of the Sikha that we are about to study. Before dealing with the Rashi, let us take a short digression to see how the translators that we use deal with the introduction. Beginning with Kaplan, omnipotent God of all living souls, where we loosely link the Kel Elokei as the omnipotent God, that is Haruchot L'chol Basar, of all living things. Hirsch remains more faithful to the text. Remember, we have Ruchot and Basar, and his translation is Kel, God, Elokei Haruchot, God of the spirits, Nishamot, the inner forces perhaps, L'chol Basar, of all flesh. The Gutnik Chumash style allows for the insertion of implied information. His offering is Kel, merciful God, as opposed to the other 2 descriptives, Hashem and Elokim. Elokei Haruchot, L'chol Basar, a God who knows the thoughts of everybody. Here Ruchot, the inner thoughts, L'chol Basar, of the human being. He goes on to translate, just because one man sins, should you be angry with the entire congregation? Possibly in light of the fact that you can discriminate between those who have sinned and those who have not. This theme is picked up by the Hirsch translation and links the introduction to the request. His point is that the masses in this case were talked into joining the rebellion through the oratory skills of Korach. And Hirsch goes on to put a modern twist to this pasuk from his own experiences during the 1800s, that after a rebellion is put down, the perpetrators are generally punished, but unfortunately by that time the agitators, sensing defeat, are able to save themselves, and much of the anger is visited upon the poor masses, who were just followers of the agitators. And this is the point that Moshe was making to God. As the spirit of all flesh, you have the ability to reach those whom you know are guilty, and secondly, you have the ability to know who is guilty and who is innocent, and therefore, Ha'ish Echad Yecheta, V'al Kol Ha'eda Tiktsof, it is unjust to express your anger at the relatively innocent masses.